Well, absolutely, a very emotionally charged day as you look back. It's 1 year down the line since those atrocities were committed in Israel, led by Hamas. And obviously, this has triggered a war as well, where we've seen reaction in so many parts of the world. We're right in Johannesburg, where right in Houghton, there is an exhibition, but it's also a day to reflect by the South African Jewish Board of Communities, of Deputies, and obviously the community is here to look into this important day. Join me now is Tracy. Tracy, thank you so much once again for your time. We're just talking off air about the significance of today. What's going through your mind as one of the community members around here?
Thank you for being here and for the opportunity to speak on behalf of our community. I think there's only one word that really sums it up, and that it's hard. To quote our Rebbitzin from our shul, she put out a post last night and this morning again, and she said, today is a hard day to be Jewish, and it is for many, many people, not only here in South Africa, but for Jews around the world. And I think that it's hard to look at these images, it's hard to face the realities of what happened in Israel on October the 7th, 2023. And it's not something that anybody wants to face. I also find it very surreal that in this day and age, this is what we're having to do to show the world what has happened. I find it difficult to believe that the world can just turn a blind eye to this. It makes my heart sad.
And Tracy, we're just talking about the various units and all these areas from the graveyard, the car graveyard, and many other areas, really highlighting the atrocities that were committed, really painting a very vivid picture about the seriousness of this issue. And you were just talking about the issue that, you're right in South Africa, but the affinity and the connection, it's pretty close because some of the guns.
So for many of us, we are connected to people who are there, people who died, people who are being held hostage, people who are living there now, who you get messages that we're running for shelter, we're running for cover, we have nowhere to go, we have nowhere to live. And just because we're so far away here in the southernmost tip of Africa doesn't mean that we're not connected to what's going on. I think social media as well plays a very big role in that it's connected our world in ways that one could never have imagined. And it makes what is a reality to some a reality to everyone. And again, how can the world turn a blind eye when the proof is right there in front of them of what is going on?
Thank you for your reflections, Tracy.
Thank you for being here and for covering us and for bringing our message to the world today to bring them home.
Fantastic. Of course, one of the community members here, but let's hear from Ellie Katz as well. So Ellie, you were right in Israel on the 7th of October. Take us through to what really happened on the day and really what's going through your mind right now.
So thanks for the opportunity. I was in the center of Israel on the day, and it was a Saturday morning. It was a Sabbath, and talking about innocent women, children, grandparents who were sleeping in their beds. And at 6:30 in the morning, the first siren went off as the rockets started coming. And then after that, by 7 a.m. in the morning, there were just thousands and thousands of Hamas terrorists who had broken through the border and were breaking into houses, were burning families alive, raping women. It was traumatic. Who would have ever thought that in 2003 something like this could have ever happened? And it happened. And the proof is not most of the proof, which is scary, is that most of the proof which was actually gathered was actually taken from cameras of the Hamas terrorists.
Ellie, you said some of the people who were captured, who have been abducted, you really know them personally, some of them are your friends. The message that really is growing is that the unconditional release of the hostages. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I can tell you about one personal case, is that I live right next door. One of the hostages, which is Naama Levy, which was a young girl of 19 years old, which has now been held hostage for over a year. There's proof, there's evidence that what she's been going through, the sexual abuse. She was the girl who was on the video, where they were dragging her out of the jeep. And she had all blood all over her pants. what boggles the mind is how can we just continue knowing this? How can we continue knowing that so many women were raped, so many people were burnt alive, and just continue without standing up and saying enough? This is evil.
Before we let you go, Eli, what can you say to the world, to the United Nations, to the international community? I mean, surely the war is untenable from both sides. So many people have died, but also in Israel, the hostages are still in those tunnels.
I think we want a world where, with love, we want a world of humanity. We want a world where we can, of tolerance, where we can live side by side with one another. And the reality is that the only way in which we can do this is if we actually defeat evil and we eradicate evil, and so that we can all live with our fellow brothers and cousins, the Palestinian people, side by side, in love and in tranquility. And the only way in which we can do that is if we can eradicate pure evil, which we saw on the 7th of October.
All right, Eli, thank you so much for your time. Of course, those are the sentiments here from Johannesburg as the world at large is marking this day, the 7th of October. Khumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.